Welcome to the 100th U.S. Open at famed Pebble Beach. For the fourth time, the incomparable stage for America's championship, which got off to a rousing start earlier this morning amid perfect conditions. 42-year-old Hal Sutton on the very first hole, his second shot to this par 4, an 8-iron from 136 yards. The first time anyone has eagled the first at Pebble in a U.S. Open as Hal Sutton looks for his first major championship in 17 years. John Houston, part of the second group off, this for par at 18, a round which featured 7 birdies. He finishes with a 67, his lowest U.S. Open round. He was at 4 under and tied for the lead at the time. Tiger Woods looking for his very first U.S. Open title. On the short par 4, his second shot. He had parred the first 3 holes and then dialed this one in to get within birdie distance. He made it, picked up his first birdie, and moved to 1 under. Then Tiger at the short par 3-7, just a 106-yard hole. Lengthy birdie putt left for Tiger, and he nails it. Tiger moves to 2 under, still without a bogey on his card. A great story developing. 40-year-old Bobby Clampett, a native of Monterey, qualified to get into his first Open in 14 years. He birdied the 9th and then birdied the 10th, 2 of the toughest holes at Pebble, to get to 4 under. He was tied for the lead with Hal Sutton and John Houston. But then Tiger for birdie on the same hole, this to move to 3 under. And Tiger birdies it. He's won 11 of his last 20 PGA Tour starts. 4 wins already this year, 8 last year. But the man that held him off at the Players' Championship earlier this year, Sutton for birdie at the 12th to take the outright lead at 5 under in the U.S. Open. Then more precision iron play at the very next hole, the par 4 13th. This one to within birdie range. He made that back-to-back birdies for Hal Sutton, who moved to 6 under and a 2-shot lead in the first round of the 100th U.S. Open. Players teed off early in the morning. The first start time was at 6:30. The conditions were a lot easier than they have become. Live to the par 4 13th, and Tiger Woods, who is at 3 under par. Still without a bogey on his card. Mark Rolfing with his
a tremendous drive, Dan. He's only got 129 yards. Just a small wedge up the hill.
Watch out. Could go in. That was easy.
Tiger Woods looks like he's going to move into a share of the lead because there have been developments surrounding Hal Sutton, who just a moment ago was 6 under par as he got to the par 5 14th, but found some problems. This moment ago, his 4th shot.
He has an uphill pitch shot out of the heavy rough, and it comes out hot flying, and you can see what happened. It'll feed all the way down off the green from there, and he just can't believe the shot he just hit. He was just trying to just dump it onto the front of the green.
So this was his putt for bogey.
This is a little bit slow and breaks left to right. Right to left, I mean.
So Sutton has to accept a double bogey. He's back to 4 under, and now he's over at the 15th, and we bring in Gary Cook.
Thank you, Dan. Hal with his second shot from 150 yards, dead center of the fairway.
Go.
Just got for it to go a little bit. There's a little ridge just short of the hole, and that ball will come up short of that and leave a big breaking putt from right to left. Over at the par 5 6th, this is Miguel Jiménez with a birdie putt to go 4 under. And what a start for Jiménez, 4 under the first 6 holes. And over at the par 4 16th, Bobby Clampett, difficult par putt, downhill, big swing from left to right. Clampett will suffer his first bogey of the day. Drop him back to 3 under.
in the tower at the 18th. Well, a good look at the par 3 17th. So much history there through the years in the Opens played here. Bobby Clampett has reached the tee here.
And this hole is playing super tough. 212 yards dead into the teeth of the wind. He's got to go with a wood on a par 3. Might be one of these driving irons. Can't tell for sure. Full locations left. It's a tough one. The ocean's in play, left and long. And he's not watching it. That could be a good sign.
That is a 5-wood, which lands in the back portion of this hourglass green.
And a great shot, I might add.
And we'll go over to the 7th.
Miguel Jiménez now from the back left portion of the green. Long, long birdie putt. What a start.
Don't you think he has a perfect game for an Open?
Yeah, he does. He hits it very straight, doesn't he, Johnny? It's a lot of greens.
Sort of like a Scott Simpson, who, of course, could have won a couple Opens, did win one.
Another one, Johnny.
Wow.
3 in a row after birdieing 2 and 3. 5, 6, 7. Add them up. And over on 13, Jesper Parnevik for a par.
What a putting surface this green is, huh, Bob?
Well, this is just so scary when you're above this hole, and that's where Jesper is.
This does not go in. What will it go? If it has any pace, and he likes to put pace on his putts, this will go, what, 5, 6, 7, 8 feet by. If he misses it, spins it out on the top lip.
Without question. It's a slight left to righter.
See if he plays it aggressive or eases it in there with a big break.
That was aggressive. I promise you that ball is 10 feet past the hole if it misses. Let's go over to number 18.
And you just saw the birdie by Jiménez to take the lead at 5 under. But Johnny, this is a part of the golf course where it can get you in a hurry. Just teed off with an iron at this par 4/8, 418 yards, and that is what's left in one of the greatest approach shots in the world.
My favorite approach shot on any par 4, I mean.
And over to 15, Gary.
Now Sutton with this birdie putt coming up the hill, up this ridge. Big break from right to left. Difficult putt to hit firmly enough. Go.
Gary, we've been told the greens are running 11.6 on the stump meter.
John, I think that's probably accurate, but as is the case with often when you have greens with so much slope, the putts uphill are much slower. We'll go over to Tiger Woods now.
Tiger just marking his ball back. He had moved his coin.
He's had a pretty good wait on this one. Murph obviously had to wait for both Parnevik and Furyk to putt for their pars.
So he's going to slide right in there and knock it in.
What a 3 that is.
What a 3. I love the way this young man putts, I'll tell you that. Puts it in the hole.
Tiger Woods used to struggle in U.S. Opens, had a lot of big numbers on the card, but not one single bogey today, and he's crept to within 1 of Miguel Ángel Jiménez in the 100th U.S. Open. Welcome back. 4 birdie at the par 3 17th. Bobby Clampett to get within 1 of the lead.
Fast putt downhill. Doesn't do a lot.
So much history at this hole. In fact, when Clampett finished tied for 3rd at the 82 Open staged here, that was, of course, the same championship where Tom Watson chipped in from behind this very green at 17, and he was the golden boy of Monterey. And as a 22-year-old, Bobby Clampett's name among the game's greatest at the 82 Open. And once the top amateur in the country. He won once on the PGA Tour, but he finished the Open 18 years ago, tied for 3rd. His final round 70 left him 2 under for the championship. Look at those pants. In a 3-way tie for 3rd, 4 shots behind Tom Watson. So a very special week for Bobby Clampett. Had to qualify to get into this championship and play in his first U.S. Open in 14 years. And there he is, Johnny, just 2 back.
It's amazing. He was such a great amateur player and won a couple of California State amateurs here and dominated collegiate golf at BYU and really came out on tour as maybe the next Nicklaus. And he just fell into a lot of different kind of swing theories and different coaches, and he's very bright, very brilliant, but he just almost worked against himself by worrying about a swing so much.
To 15.
Al Sutton with this 4-foot putt for a par. It'll turn a little left. All right, good stroke. It's an area of Sutton's game that has improved dramatically in the last couple of years. He's solid now with the putter.
And there is that 18th tee, and Bobby Clampett is there at 3 under.
Very nerve-wracking tee shot. He's going with the driver. It's very easy to block it right. There is OB right. You don't want to quick hook it, and here come the geese coming by, which you don't necessarily need to see or hear. But maybe did the right thing there. I'm almost surprised that more players don't go with the driving irons or fairway woods and just get it out there in play and then lay it up to the 100-yard mark with about a 4-iron, and then let your wedge do the talking. But for some reason, he's going to go for the gusto, and that is tough to do. I'll tell you, when you're trying to bring a round home, especially when you haven't been there in a long time. See if you can handle it. Very aggressive swing. Let's see if he came out of it or if he swung well. Some people like it.
You can see how the fog has come in on this side of the golf course, particularly on this 18th, and that appears to be Clampett's ball on the rough there, Johnny, on the right.
I'm surprised he actually went with the driver.
Well, to the 8th, and it's one of the more spectacular second shots in all of the world. 190 left for the leader, Jiménez.
Take a look at this swing, a little unusual, but a good tempo. Tough hole location. I didn't think the USGA was going to go with this hole location. They actually said they wouldn't go with this hole location, but here it is.
He has dropped that one in the rough. A little bit short left, over at 13.
This just earlier from 143 yards. David Duval started out, birdied the first hole, doubled 11, bogeyed 12. What's this?
Good golf shot.
That is good.
These fellas are eating this hole up. David taps that in for a birdie.
Where I think he'll aim. He has got the driver.
It's a dangerous shot. If you come out to the right, there's OB. Left is also OB if he hits it long left. Once he hit probably right at the pin with a fade, and he's come over it. You can see and necked it. Is it coming back, Mark?
No, it's headed to the left rough, just short of the bunker.
I'll tell you, that's interesting to see if it reaches that tree or if it's just short. He is the best that's ever been at this kind of shot out of long rough. But let's take a look at the animation of this hole. You can see the uphill as it approaches. It's pretty level on the tee shot. You're going along level, and then what happens is it starts heading right and up the fall line of the mountain, which is to the right. And it's going up and sloping left also. So you need to sort of hit a little cut second shot, which Tiger was trying to hit, but he came over it. Then it rises to the front, and then it really rises from the front edge to the back of the green. So it's really a tough hole here.
28 feet, Johnny, above the fairway. All uphill.
It does it so gradually you hardly notice it, but that's a lot. Great round of golf for Tiger Woods. You know, one here at AT&T earlier this year. In fact, a couple years ago, his best buddy, he shoots 64 the last round of AT&T to scare Mark O'Meara. Then O'Meara got heroic himself and nipped him. But great vibes here going to Stanford, knowing the golf course, a California native. It seems like Pebble Beach likes Californians. And he's shot a 63 here and a couple 64s. Winning, the weight of it starts getting heavier and heavier.
Over at the 8th, the third shot for the leader, Miguel Ángel Jiménez.
You watch how quick this is. It'll take a right here, just keep trickling, trickling, trickling. And if he'd have hit it near the hole, it'd run right off the green. Look at this ball, how much trickle is involved in this hole location. It is something else.
5 birdies in his first 7 holes, over at the 12th.
And Justin Leonard, 1 under par, going along very well. 197 today, back into a slight wind. Justin trying to coax a 4-iron up there, and you see, as a matter of fact, it landed back in the bunker.
Good bury.
So, not as good as he wishes. To 16.
Second shot for Hal Sutton, slightly downhill, 166 yards.
A little into the wind and to the right.
Yeah, but he doesn't like that, John. It looked like he pulled that ball.
Wow.
Oh, that is an unforced error and very rare for Hal Sutton. His second shot at 16 in the deep rough left of the green. He'll have quite a challenge left. As the Par 4 16th, and this is the third shot now for Hal Sutton out of this very long ryegrass rough. Oh no. Yeah, this is tough stuff, especially to the left of the 16th green, some of the longest rough I've seen. We'll go to the 8th.
And Jiménez for his par.
And this is an adventuresome putt. You got to be careful. You have to ask yourself, do I want to leave it next to the hole or do I want to try to make it? Because you're going to have to play a huge break if you want to get it close.
What a putt by Jiménez.
You got to be kidding me.
Remains at 5 under to 14. Tiger Woods coming out of that deep rough, his third shot, Mark.
Really hard to describe, Dan, just how good that shot was. He had to play it under the tree, land it in the long rough, and have it jump out. Incredible short game the man has.
That was, I can't believe he pulled that off.
So now he's got that, guys, for his 5th birdie of the day. Over to 16.
Hal Sutton now playing his 4th shot, and Ed Snead is there.
Gary, he had a very, very difficult third, as you know, and unsettling after the shot at 14, but a very, very nice chip out of the short rough there, so at least he can save a 5.
Right. We'll go to 18.
And check in with Bobby Clampett, his 3rd to this par 5.
Well, he was able to get it out of the rough nicely on the tee shot and fires that right side right at it. See where he's got it going. Yeah, it's a safe shot there. Might trickle back off that false front. And it does.
Into 12.
And Tom Lehman on the back of the green at 12, but believe me, that's a good golf shot today. 197, as we said, into the wind. Tom Lehman hits a lot of greens. I think that's really key this week. Get the ball on the green.
Tough putt to read here, though, Murph. Very few players read this correctly. They all leave it out to the right.
Right, they just feel like it's going left, Johnny, and you're right, it goes back to the ocean. Earlier, Justin Leonard out of the bunker. Beautiful bunker shot. And not a real difficult putt left to stay at 1 under par. And we'll go to 16.
Now Sutton with this short putt for a bogey 5, but certainly not an easy one, straight down the hill.
Very ticklish on these Poana greens, Gary.
All right, well, that's an unforced bogey though from a poor tee or a poor second shot into the 16th. He'll drop now to 3 under par, and 2 behind the leader. We'll go back to 12.
And Justin Leonard for his par, as Johnny said, the players just feel that this putt wants to work a little left, but in fact, if it does anything, if it hops or if it moves slightly, it moves to the right.
One of the few players whose eye line is actually inside the ball, plays away from his stance. Good read.
Read that correctly, and that's a terrific par from that front bunker. And we'll go to 14.
And look at this putt, Mark Rolfing, for Jim Furyk.
Not the kind of birdie putt you want to have here, but he hit it nicely.
Did he ever? Good leave for Furyk.
Hit a terrible second shot into the left-hand rough and was fortunate to get it out onto the front edge. 5, always a pretty good score here at 14.
And he will remain at even par in this first round. As you take a look at some of the other scores rolling by. And now Tiger Woods for a birdie putt and a share of the lead, and what an up and down that would be. We'll get that in a moment, but first over at 18, this is Bobby Clampett's 4th.
Yeah, going with the putt, breaks towards the ocean, right to left. Anything inside of really 3 feet would be very nice. Might have a tendency to leave it short from that fringe.
Wow, had it in the jaws, just didn't quite hit it, but that will be a round of 68 for Bobby Clampett. Mentioned how good his story is. He shagged practice balls, Johnny, at the 72 Open here as a 12-year-old. Got hooked on the sport really from watching the greats, including Arnold Palmer, play in that U.S. Open. In fact, he hitched a ride home to Carmel Valley one day after shagging balls at the range with the king himself. And Bobby Clampett, of course, finished tied for third 10 years later in the U.S. Open. What a round to begin his day as the local kid. Now Tiger Woods. What an up and down again this would be, Mark Rolfing.
It really would. Tiger plays absolutely with no fear at all, Johnny. I mean, there are not probably a dozen players in the field that would even try that shot.
So Tiger Woods has tied Miguel Ángel Jiménez for the lead in the U.S. Open. 15.
That's the birdie putt for Phil Mickelson on the way. That was for 3 in a row. He'll remain at 1 over par, and Mickelson, of course, receiving a lot of attention before this championship began as one of the favorites based on his play on the PGA Tour this year. 3 wins. And a nice comeback for Mickelson. He was due 3 over par earlier in the round, so hanging in there. And Johnny, I think that's what you really have to do in a championship of this magnitude on a golf course like this.
I do. I think it's going to be very tight with the rest of the field, but I really do believe, I get this hunch that Tiger's going to break every U.S. Open record this week and win by maybe a big margin. I just think it's going to be not maybe a Masters, his first Masters win, but I just had the feeling if he could get off to a great start, which he has done, it could be a week that he just says, see ya, guys.
Wow, Johnny, that's quite a statement. Just 13 holes into this championship. But
I talked to him yesterday when he was out there for the last 4 or 5 holes. Probably wanted to get rid of me, but I mean, I kept talking to him and Butch Harmon and even different guys, and it's just amazing where he's at in his game right now. He's at the young part of his prime, which is sort of bulletproof. You feel like you can just tear out anybody's throat, you know. Everything is right on green light. Look at that swing. He just absolutely flailed. Might be a little right. He got his body a little faster in his arms. That's his big problem.
Very aggressive tee shot.
It is high and well right, Johnny.
A lot of players not taking driver on this 397-yard par 4.
I would have thought maybe Tiger would play that iron down the fairway, that little stab iron that he hits about 240.
Well, the hole is not that long. The fairway does fall downhill and right to left. We'll go to the 9th.
And the second shot here at the 9th for Jiménez, the co-leader now with Tiger Woods. Another one of these difficult holes in this stretch of 8, 9, and 10.
Just wants to lay it up. It's a narrow layup. And he has done actually, if that went in the bunker, that's a good break. If not, that is in big trouble. And you can see right there, 25 balls short because those guys hit it in the rough. That's why they're short. And then right is really long grass. Only 17% of the players are hitting this green in regulation. That's why it's the toughest hole in the golf course.
Yep. On the tee at 17, the par 3, Lee Westwood. Ed?
Well, Lee has battled back today. He's actually played a pretty nice round. Of course, Sutton has been so far under that he's been a little bit lost in it. Has a little over 200 to carry over that bunker on the left. Very slightly against the breeze. Not much of it blowing here, especially for Pebble Beach.
I think there's a little more wind up by the green than you can feel, though, Ed, because here at 18, it's rustling pretty good, and you know, a lot of balls are going to come up short because you probably feel back at that tee that it isn't too much wind.
Well, the flag is moving a little bit, Johnny. It's sort of heavy also with the fog coming in.
Yeah, that's the other local knowledge part that most players don't factor in, is the heavy air. When that fog shows up, it just goes nowhere into a small breeze.
Well, Westwood, one of the leading contenders for the European side. As you take a look at the best European finishes in the last 25 years.
And Seve Ballesteros, you see him there. He just had a terrible time at the U.S. Open. I honestly believe that the Europeans should do better at the U.S. Open, but I almost believe they just don't feel comfortable. I think the first part of that trophy that reads United States Open is a little bit more than their comfort zone.
Well, this man grabbed it at Oakland Hills back in '96. Steve Jones, as a qualifier, won that championship. Currently at +3 and in the bunker.
Another guy that figured, well, that ought to be enough. And look at Faldo, like, whoa, where'd that go?
Faldo's playing the 4th hole, by the way. This tee sharing the same ground with the 4th tee, which heads back up the hill.
And he's thinking that he knocked it on the green, Steve Jones, and did not. And we'll see if Sutton can hit the proper flight.
How about Faldo, though, Johnny? One of the first guys here all week on the grounds here at Pebble Beach.
Every U.S. Open.
Trying to get out of a slump, but still continues to try to resurrect his game. And now Sutton.
See if he can hit a strong flight and get it there.
Johnny, he's let the ball get up in the air a little more than I normally see him do.
Yeah, it looked like he might have started it right and trying to hook it back the way his downswing was.
It has sort of stayed right toward the right side of the green there.
Ooh, not bad at all. Right on the top of the hog's back.
Hal Sutton, director of the USGA, David Fay, for an explanation here.
Well, he was affected by the cart path, his stance, so he received movable obstruction relief. He had to determine a point which was the nearest point of relief, which is not near the hole. Avoids interference from the cart path, and as you see, not in the bunker, water hazard on a putting green. And when he determines that spot, this is new for this year, he has to simulate the stance and swing by using the planned club.
Well, Tiger has dropped in the right rough. Mark Rolfing, not the best of angles to shoot at this flag.
It's not the best of angles and not the best of lies either. I think he could have actually dropped it a little bit closer to the fairway, which would have given him more of a bare lie.
Good wind, though, to come down softly, isn't it?
It is, and he's only got 90 yards. Needs to get up. Well, I think maybe he thought that would be the result. He played it left of the bunker, which was a good, smart shot.
Only the second fairway missed today, guys.
We'll go back to the 9th.
This a moment ago from that deep rough in front of the green at the 9th.
Well, he's been magical the last hour, but this one got him here. But he's been making crazy putts, and he's going to have another one here from above the hole. See how fast that is coming back.
Made that long putt at the 8th to keep his card clean, and now it's 17. Hal Sutton is second. Ed?
Well, of course, he wanted to either take a sand wedge, very lofted club, and carry it down to the flat, which is what he did. He could have probably bumped it with a little less loft and let it run more. Very good shot.
Looks like he'll save his par there. And Jiménez trying to do the same with a much lengthier par putt at the 9th.
It's a dangerous putt. Well, it was dangerous last hole, and he made it. He just trickles it down there. Trickle, trickle. But watch this. This is not done rolling. And that's the price you pay when you hit it above the holes at Pebble Beach.
Now he's got that left for bogey, 16.
Phil Mickelson preparing to play his second shot here at the 403-yard dogleg right, par 4 16th. Just in the intermediate cut of rough, 154 yards to the hole. That is an 8-iron, and ooh, that is some very thick rough there.
I think these guys aren't feeling that wind that's coming up through there.
John, I think it's very possible here at 16. You know, the green sits down a little bit lower than the fairway, and it is surrounded by trees. And the flagstick laying very limp. We see this year at 15, Tiger Woods' third shot.
Not a particularly easy shot here. He needs to negotiate the mound on the right side of the green. He has left it below the hole. Another great play.
We go back to 9.
And this for bogey.
Straight in putt.
All right, he has the bogey. The first miscue on the card of the 36-year-old Spaniard, who was the assistant to Captain Seve Ballesteros at the '97 Ryder Cup. So the outright lead belongs to Tiger Woods at 5 under. One clear of Houston after his 67. Jiménez at 4 under, and then Sutton still keeping it together, just 2 back.
Tom Lehman set to go for birdie at 13. Hit a wonderful shot in, and it just drew back a little bit. Yes, sir. Another green hit. This time, he dunks it. Goes to 2 under par. Back to 15.
Jim Furyk, uphill putt. Is for birdie to get to even par. Just a little more speed. And a lot of people were touting Jim Furyk's chances in this 100th edition of the U.S. Open. Drives the ball very straight, controls his iron flight well, good short game. Certainly has the elements necessary to play well in an Open championship.
And he's been in the top 20, Gary, in the last 4 Opens.
A lot of people were talking about Jesper Parnevik as a front runner as well, Mark.
He's been hitting the ball left pretty much all day, Gary, and that's what's gotten him in trouble. But he's hung pretty tough. He hit a beautiful bunker shot at the 12th. Looked like he might make a double there and escape with a bogey after he buried it in the lip of the bunker. Like Parnevik, Gary, because I don't think you can win the U.S. Open the first day, but you can certainly lose it.
Easy to miss it right.
Well, nicely done. Jesper Parnevik to 3 over par in his opening round.
Gary, you guys talking about Jesper's chances, I would have to think they would increase, especially when you note that one of his daughter's name is Pebble.
As in Pebble Beach?
Pebble Beach.
Pebble
So
Beach.
it might be pretty appropriate for the major championship to come here in this U.S. Open at Pebble. And the second shot at the 4th.
Definite
paving.
birdie opportunity here.
Absolutely. He's 2 under par, Johnny, and going along just like you want. Prefer not to be above the hole there, but that's not a bad shot either. Back to 15.
Par putt now for Tiger Woods, and it's interesting, you heard him comment to his caddy Steve Woods, the ball checked up a little quicker. He's changed golf balls here recently, and he said that's the one thing he's had to watch for. Ball spinning a little more as he plays his approach shots around the green. So a good safe par there for Tiger. He'll remain at 5 under. Up ahead at 16. Phil Mickelson with a difficult pitch out of the long rough, short of the green here. Oh, look at this. Mickelson displaying that short game magic. Went back to his old L wedge from his college days, and it has made a difference to him this year.
68 on the day. Let's take a look at some of those 68 strokes. This is the birdie putt at 10. Why don't you describe it for us, Pro?
Well, I hit a good drive and a 5-iron today, and this putt was straight downhill. Mike Moore's on my bag this week, and he's a local caddy here, and he and I have just really kind of clicked in green reading today. And
this is the par putt at 11.
that was the first fairway I missed at 11. Had to pitch out, sandwich from about 93 yards to there, and then that downhill. I kept leaving myself some very difficult putts.
And then some difficult shots as well. This is the second at 13, the par 4.
I kept driving it right here at 13 again. Caught a pretty good lie, and then hit this shot that kind of surprised me.
And then you left yourself a nice little birdie putt as it curls in there. A nice little short one.
Yeah. Not so short, though.
When it's downhill, right?
When you have to hit it that easy, it's hard to stroke it, and
perhaps that's an indication of just how fast these greens have become.
they're extraordinarily quick.
And there's the par save. And then we go to the 18th hole. You miss the the birdie putt, which is, I guess you're putting from off the green here, after having missed the fairway right on the drive and then just the tap in. For the round of 68, and as you said, a dream come true, an extraordinary day for you. I think many people around the country may have read about how you tried to qualify, but why don't you tell us a little bit more? It was really not as packed as it might have seemed, because you tried to qualify at local, and you didn't make it initially, did you?
No, in fact, initially, this is the first year I'd ever written the USGA for.
All right, Bobby Clappett, thanks so much for joining us. Let's go on out to the golf course, live to the 10th hole. This, Miguel Ángel Jiménez.
Second shot after a very nice drive. Fairway slopes severely from left to right, ball well below his feet. And a very safe shot, front edge of the green. We go back to 4.
And Nick Faldo, after bogeying the first hole, he's birdied 2 and 3. This uphill over a slight mound there in the front of the green. Speed. 3 birdies in a row. Tip of the hat that he forgot to put on this morning. And we'll go to 16.
Tee shot here. Tiger Woods with an iron. Just trying to play the ball down some 225 or 30 yards up onto the plateau.
Same shot he worked on yesterday, Gary. Sort of a back in the stance long iron punch and just rips it.
Nicely played up ahead on the green. Phil Mickelson managed to make his par and remain at 1 over. We'll go back to 4.
And Corey Pavin off to a good start. Curl, faster. Oh, a surprise to leave it there. So Corey Pavin, former U.S. Open champion, doing very well. We'll be right back.
Here's the par 4 16th. Tiger Woods preparing for his second shot. Mark Rolfing.
Got 130 yards, Gary. Front right hole location today, which I think is the toughest here at 16. He will want to land this ball just right at the flag, sticking a little short. It'll spin left.
Anything left of the hole leaves a nice uphill, makeable putt. We have seen a number of players come up short. Shot does play slightly downhill.
Oh, God.
Now this very deep into the green, and that leaves a very big breaking putt from left to right. He liked it when he hit it. He'll have his work cut out for him to 2-putt that one. Putt will break as much as 4 or 5 feet from his left. And we'll go ahead to the 17th.
Phil Mickelson is there. This long par 3, 212 yards. Mickelson at +1.
Probably playing at least 220. Long hitter of the golf ball. He's picked up a lot of distance in the last couple of years. Big guy, a lot bigger than people think.
And Pebble has picked up a little bit more fog as this day continues.
You see him fall through there and fall back to the right, 3-iron. And it might be over to the left of the hole. It's short and left. I'm not positive, just from watching the swing.
Good look at that green, Johnny, which is one of the largest, if not the largest, surface area-wise. But as far as usable space, it just ranks probably about dead last.
You got 2 small greens is what you really have, and square footage of the green is just 3,784. So you're talking about 2 tiny targets.
To 10.
Lengthy birdie putt here for Jiménez. Up the hill. Slight movement to the right.
Well, I tell you, he is putting his ball, Gary. He had 11 putts through 9 holes.
Speed seems to be great. We go to 17.
John van de Velde off the tee. And the Frenchman at +2.
And there we go. That's hit a quick hook there, and that's some heavy, heavy rough. Tiger Woods hit one over there yesterday, and he had a lot of trouble trying to get it over that bunker.
Here, Tiger Woods will be the first to putt. And Mark, for the length of the putt, certainly a difficult one.
It really is, Gary. It's got a huge break to the right, and so much is going to depend on the pace. It's almost like a dog leg kind of a putt. It'll go straight for the first 15 or 20 feet, then it'll start breaking sharply to the hole. He does not want to leave it short or left. That's the one thing. He needs to get it past the hole and to the right so he can putt back up the hill, unless it goes in, obviously.
Johnny, this is a putt that you just have to know that it breaks a lot more than it looks.
The one thing that impresses me most about Tiger is just how brilliant the guy is. I mean, he doesn't forget anything. He came up to me and yesterday and he goes, "Hey, you still using that claw grip?" Like he knew I was. I only used the claw grip one time in my life, and that's when I won the '94 AT&T. Why this guy? He has got so much information up there, and he's able to clearly pull it out. And he knew the minute he hit that thing past the pin on the second shot, he was already thinking about the putt. I promise you.
He's a true historian. I mean, he knows so much about the history of this game. I mean, he was in the press room the other day rattling off, consecutive major championships that Jack Nicklaus played in when he didn't win. I mean, he knows those kinds of statistics in the history books as, of course, he continues his chase on Jack Nicklaus, the greatest ever.
That's a huge advantage, isn't it, Gary, when you can hit this putt, let's say 2 years ago, and remember it now of what, you might want to do and what you don't want to do.
No question, and we saw him there visualizing, just trying to see the putt before he hits it. Jiménez playing this ball out some 6 or 8 feet. Pretty well judged.
Well, our coverage of the NBA Finals continues tomorrow night at NBC, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 Pacific. The Lakers and Pacers continue with the Lakers with that overtime win last night. They took a 3-1 series lead. How big was Kobe Bryant in that game as Shaq and the Lakers moved to within 1 win of wrapping up their first championship since 1988. Game 5 tomorrow, 9 Eastern Time, as the NBA Finals continue.
Now Jim Furyk at 16 with the putt very similar to Tiger's. Huge break to the right.
Leaves it in just about the same spot. Certainly not a putt you can be aggressive with.
Up to 18.
And this will be the 4th shot to this par 5 by Hal Sutton. Ed, what happened?
Well, right now he has 116 yards to the hole, probably just a little 9 or a firm wedge. His trouble started when he hit an iron off the tee and drove into the rough, and he was really blocked by the trees. Had almost no shot and just had to pitch out. So it's a difficult hole for Hal.
That's been a pretty big turnaround for Sutton, who played his first 13 holes in 6 under. The last 4 holes, he's been +3, 16.
Birdie putt for Jesper Parnevik.
And a very fast one at that, Gary.
It's the opposite. Huge break from right to left.
I think he's needing to get this one maybe 3 or 4 feet out to the right. It will be racing when it gets to the hole. Well, pretty much all he could do from there.
Parnevik will tap in, remain at 3 over par.
Gary, as you get ready to watch Tiger here putt for par, people talk so much about his strength and his great hands, his short game, but I think his mental game is probably the strongest part of his overall game. He just does not make mental mistakes.
All right, safely in. Good 2-putt par at 16. Remains at 5 under. And we'll go up and join Jimmy Roberts once again.